Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Cruzal, Operations Manager for TAL Global, and I welcome you to today's presentation that will focus on civil unrest and how your company or organization can be best prepared for any potential scenario. This is the latest free webinar in TAL Global's ongoing security and risk management series, and we're happy you joined us today. Before I introduce today's speaker, I wanted to let everyone know a few things. This is a recorded presentation and it will last approximately 30 minutes. The recording will be available for additional viewing shortly after the conclusion of the presentation. And you will be able to submit questions directly to us via our website, talglobal.com. For those of you who don't already know us, TAL Global is an international security consulting and risk management firm with over 26 years of experience supporting domestic and international clients with a wide range of security and risk solutions. The presenter for today's webinar is Oscar Villanueva, TAL Global's Chief Operating Officer. Oscar is an international security expert with decades of experience in investigations, physical security, workplace violence, risk management and mitigation, emergency preparedness, and critical infrastructure. And he's here to talk about basic security industry best practices that all companies and organizations should be following. With that, take it away, Oscar.
Thank you, Julie. Welcome to the webinar to everybody. Today, we're going to cover essential information that you should know if confronted with a civil unrest situation at your business. We're going to be talking about the phenomena of civil unrest that has been observed globally for many, many years. More recently, in the US, civil unrest incidents occurred motivated by the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis in 1920-21. After the president election in 2020, and of course the protests more recently about the Israel-Hamas war. We believe the upcoming presidential election, based on our research, the election this year promises to once again promote strong feelings and result in protest and additional civil unrest that we all need to be prepared for. Regardless of the reasons and motivation for civil unrest, the end result usually affects businesses in the path of these incidents, and being aware and prepared is really important to maintain a safe and secure workplace and operation. Today, our objectives to cover on this webinar include providing insight into civil unrest and related threats that you will face as a business, gain awareness of preparations necessary to maintain a safe and secure environment. We also want to provide some tips on best practices for protecting organizations and individuals. And then finally, we want to talk a little bit about exploring and leveraging external resources that you are likely to need in case of civil unrest and that disrupting your people and your operations. So again, we believe that later this year and early next year, due to the political situation in the US, there is likely to be civil unrest. At the very least, you will see protests occurring and potentially civil unrest. The political conditions are likely to promote this. There's lots of division between the political parties in the US, and that is likely, again, to result in protests and civil unrest. And again, it's possibly happening at the end of this year and possibly early next year. We don't see that the risk going down anywhere near the end of the first quarter of 2025. Recently, there was a interesting national poll done on May 21st, 2024 by the Marist organization, and they found that 47% of Americans think there is a likelihood of a civil war in their lifetime. This is a change from prior polls and research that has been done. So again, I believe that this underscores the potential for volatility, for protest, and again, for civil unrest. And again, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, whether you are from one party or the other, when it comes to businesses, it is all about your people and the operations you run in the business that you're managing. So being prepared is really, really important. Recent history, if you go back to 2020, 2021, the civil unrest that occurred around the Portland, Oregon area, in Washington, D.C., and various parts of the country, in Minnesota especially, you can see how that was very detrimental to the community. And of course, within that community, there are businesses like yours that are likely to be in the path of this type of incidents and therefore can be affected significantly by this situation. So the need for awareness and preparedness is important at this time, and we are early on enough that any business, any organization can do the actions that are necessary to prepare for what may be coming down later on this year and early next year. Again, the likelihood of civil unrest is high. And of course, whenever there is civil unrest, you're facing the potential for property damage and injury to the people that work for you. One of the concerns is that when something happens like this, and you call police, fire department, or other first responders, it is the case in many, many situations that they are not going to be able to respond to your site easily or promptly. They are going to be dealing with whatever else is happening at the time, and their response time is going to be compromised if they respond at all in the middle of a larger situation in your community. So being prepared is important. Resources are also likely to be unavailable last minute, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the webinar, but things like finding a contractor to come and board up your windows or security personnel to be posted outside your facility may be difficult, if not impossible, to get last minute. So working on those types of contingencies is really important. Preparing early and being as thoughtful as you can be about the potential for issues that you may encounter is truly, really, really important to keep your workplace safe and secure, regardless of what direction civil unrest or these types of situations go. So here's a few tips on how to prepare. Let's start talking about this. Consider the effect it will have on your company and facilities. Think for a minute, how will your people be affected? One of the things to consider is the fact that some of those individuals that work for you are likely to be participating in some of these events. How is that going to affect your operation? If a civil unrest is in the path or direction of your facility, is that going to disrupt your operations? Most likely, yes. If you have a parking lot that may be blocked, clients may not be able to come in and do business with you. Your people may not be able to drive out and go and do the operations that you need them to do, or even just to go home at the end of the day or come to work in the morning. So your operation is likely to be disrupted. Supply chains can also be an issue if you have a business that requires supplies and you're relying on shipments to come in throughout the week. On that particular day, if you have civil unrest in your area, that might not happen. And that also is going to disrupt your operation. And of course, your clients, your customers are not going to be able to get their shipments done. If you're in that type of business, they might not be able to come into your office if you provide services, or if you're a law firm or a similar type of facility. So consider the effect it's going to have on your company and your facilities and your clients and people as soon as you can, and consider how that is going to affect your operation so you can be better prepared to do the next step, which is to develop a plan. And I recommend that every business, of course, all of you on this webinar, consider developing a plan for civil unrest. And the plan should include how you're going to prepare, what are the actions you're going to take. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the webinar. How you're going to handle communications, how you're going to handle security. And if you need external resources, how are you going to acquire those resources, and how you're going to prepare for that need ahead of time. Again, last minute doesn't work. External resources are usually taken up very quickly. And if you don't have some type of plan to have that support when you need it, you might be in a situation where you just can't get any resources to come and provide support to you. The next step after you develop a plan is to practice that plan, meaning socialize your people regarding what the plan contains, how you want them to deal with civil unrest, your operations, your supply chain, all of that is important. So practice the plan once you put it together. All employee awareness is really, really important. So awareness training would be good, having contingencies for those employees. For example, how to evacuate if they need to, what to do if they can't come to your facility. All of those contingencies are important to have in place before anything happens. And of course, in a difficult situation, you may have to decide whether it's important to evacuate or shelter in place. And having those types of instructions and that decision matrix put together before you actually have an issue is important, so that you don't have to think about it last minute. All you really are doing is executing the plan that you put together. And then finally, preparing your actual facility is important. When we have seen civil unrest, there are situations where a group in that civil unrest incident may come into a parking lot, and they may use something in your parking lot, for example, to break windows. So you want to make sure that your facility is prepared. Are you going to board up your windows? Are you going to collect any kind of projectile that can be found around your parking lot that can be used as a weapon? So preparing your facility is also very, very important. So the key preparedness actions that I want to cover going forward here is doing a security assessment, monitoring, communications, evacuation procedures, local liaison, and how to use external resources. So let's go through each one of these in the next slides. So let's talk about a security assessment. Security assessment is a holistic review of your risk and security policies and procedures and the security stance that you have at your facility at the time. Facility security assessment involves looking at how people come in and out of your facility, the perimeter, internal and external observations, low light and night observations, reviewing any policies and procedures that you have, interviewing individuals in that facility to learn what it is that they're concerned about, assessing what type of former incidents you might have had at that facility, and then providing a final report with findings and recommendations. That is how we do it in TAL Global. There's other ways to conduct that as well. It can even be conducted internally, but doing a holistic review of your risk and security posture is really, really important. And that includes, in some cases, talking to local law enforcement and getting information about crime statistics in your area and what sort of threats you're facing, not just from civil unrest, but just in a regular, everyday type of business situation. Monitoring is important in a civil unrest situation. Knowledge translates to preparedness and security. So one of the things that is really, really important to do for a civil unrest situation is to assign someone in your organization to do monitoring of civil unrest, news, and situations that may occur that could affect your business. For example, you can have someone assigned to receive alerts from something like Google News alerts that tell you anything that is mentioned about your business specifically, or even the area where you are. So that if there is any kind of movement to conduct civil unrest or incite civil unrest or any news that comes your way, it's important to be aware of that. And the way you become aware of it is by monitoring social media, monitoring the news, doing any kind of monitoring that you possibly can. And assigning someone is a best practice so that not everybody's doing it. You just have one individual responsible for that that can then disseminate that information to those that need to know in terms of being prepared or considering what to do should civil unrest come your way. And the other thing that's really important is coordinate with other businesses sharing your space. If you have a facility that is entirely yours, say a high rise, and it's all your business, then you can manage all of that. But if you have other individuals, other businesses sharing your space in subleases or any other way, it's important that there is some coordination with them so that everybody is on the same page. For example, if you have a high rise where you have multiple floors, you can shelter yourself in place and you can do the things that are important for your location, your floor. But if the building itself, if the management doesn't do what they need to do to protect the entire structure, that could be a problem. So coordinating with other business, sharing the space is important, especially if you share space in a high-rise or multi-office setting where the management of that facility need to put security measures in place to protect the entire building where you only control a part of that, a suite, for example, or a floor. So having a conversation with others that share the space or even with property management, it's really important to make sure that the place, the entire location is safe and secure in case that civil unrest becomes an issue for you or for anyone in that facility, that building. External resources are important because while you can do lots and lots of things internally, there's going to come a time where there will be something that you're not able to conduct internally or do internally, and you're going to need external resources to come and help you. External resources could be someone to conduct a facility security assessment, provide training, come and prepare your building, board up windows, clean your parking lot to make sure there's no potential weapons in there, security guards to post in front of your facility. Any of those types of services are going to be external in most cases. And so having that awareness and being able to have those contracts, if you will, or those agreements ahead of time is really important, because in a high demand situation, most of those services are going to be utilized by others. And when you call at that last minute, it's not going to be an easy thing to secure some of those services to come and help you at your facility. So doing that ahead of time, significantly ahead of time, is important. So early arrangements are best. And you may know vendors in your area that you have used in the past, say, for example, a security company or a guard company, or maybe a handyman that can come and board up your windows, or a cleaning service that can come and clean the parking area or other external areas. And having those individuals ready to respond when you need them is really, really important. So keep that in mind, and it's very very important to have this in place before anything comes up. And we're moving quickly on this. So my final thoughts on this civil unrest preparedness and awareness webinar is that civil unrest is likely. It's not, I would say, is more than 50%. It is likely to happen, especially in relation to the presidential election coming up. Early planning and preparation is key, is truly necessary and important to keep your workplace, your people, your operations, your supply chain, and everything that makes your business move, to keep that going. External resources would likely be needed. So preparing for that ahead of time is key and very, very important. And preparing sooner rather than later is key. Right now, we're talking about several months before the presidential election takes place. So starting now would be recommended in order to keep this situation from not being an issue for you and your organization. That's all I have, Julie. Thank you very much. I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you very much, Oscar. As always, we hope this has been informative and useful for our viewing audience, and we welcome all questions you may have about organizational security or any other security-related matters. Feel free to visit us at talglobal.com and click on the Talk to Us button. That's it for today. We hope you'll join us again for our next free presentation. Thanks again and have a great day, everybody.